for me, like I learned a lot about myself in quarantine, and I got deeper into the Word of God.
Mm.
I was on a mission just to strengthen my mind, my body, and my soul. And so deeper in the Word of God, working out 3 to 4 days out of the week, stretching, meditating, doing yoga, eating healthy, drinking a lot of water, things like that, and really just stepping back from the creative space for a little while. And luckily, I had some records that were stacked up, so I still was dropping music, but I was stepping away from just like so much of the writing and the recording and things like that because I wanted to be more stable. So that really was my really, like, I guess you could say, Matt B 101 or 101 to stay mentally grounded. But what does that look like for you, and what do you think that looks like for other people? How can they kind of navigate that?
For me, it's a lot of similar things. Honestly, working out, stretching, yoga, meditating. But further, a thing that really helped me was taking breaks from social media and taking breaks from the news and the media in general, because with how crazy COVID was and continues to be, and will likely continue in the future, there was so much information being thrown at me on a daily basis, from news outlets to people sending updates on Twitter and Instagram, and then coupling that with the music side of things, with new challenges starting and everyone live at the same time, and everyone seeming to release things constantly, all behind one another, drop after drop after drop, everyone competing for the attention
It's
of,
discouraging.
yes, competing for eyeballs, essentially. And eyeballs from people who literally are already tired, already stressed, already worn out mentally, physically, emotionally. And I could not take the rat race. I'm not going to sit here and cap. It was too much for me after a certain point. And being able to know in your mind and listen to that voice when because your body's going to tell you when enough is enough.
Oh yeah.
And I think everyone can relate to that. You're going to know when enough is enough, and you have to listen to that voice and take a step back from work, social media, like turn off everything. And for me, being able to things off, even for an hour, was helpful. I was doing social media purges where I wasn't on social media for a couple of days at a time. And unfortunately, due to the line of work that I do as a manager, I always kind of have to stay in tune with what's going on, and I have to stay up to date. But taking those mental breaks from the internet and social media really is helpful. And especially in the midst of the pandemic, taking breaks from the news and the seeming impending doom that our country seems to be in right now. There's a lot happening, and there's a lot going on, especially with the change of administration that we're having right now. And for some people who are already dealing with a lot and in a fragile mental state, it could be overwhelming. So it's okay to like take those breaks and find outlets. Another outlet for myself is journaling. I'm a big person who likes to write things down, and I always have been. So writing out how I feel in its rawest form in that moment helps me, whether it's venting frustration, venting my anger, venting my sadness, venting whatever is on my mind. Being able to put that pen to paper and say exactly how I feel really helps me. And I think that people underestimate the power of being able to talk essentially to yourself and format it in a way where as you're writing, the words are flowing, but then you can read it and look back and understand and dissect a bit more where you were at the time, why you felt that way, and how to help yourself figure it out. And when you cannot help yourself, the third thing that I do is therapy and talking to a neutral party, talking to someone else who can help me work through those emotions helps a lot. And of course, if you're not in therapy or don't have anyone to speak to, talking to family, talking to friends, being open and honest with yourself and with other people, being able to vent and get things off of your chest really helps a lot. So those would be the things that I practiced a lot in quarantine and will likely continue to practice as we journey through 2021 and beyond.
So if you were to summarize all of that into just 3 things that the average person could do in order to help to strengthen or better their mental health, what would that look like to you?
As I said, taking breaks from social media, doing a social media purge, whatever it is you need to do, journaling, and therapy. Those are the things that have been the most helpful.
For sure. For me, I think it would be definitely something similar to that. Therapy for sure. Leaning more on God for me. If it's just for the average person, and if that's not really their cup of tea, then I would say then just finding someone who you trust, someone who you can talk to, someone who you know is going to keep what you're saying to themselves, because y'all have a lot of family members out here who are like no other, who will put your shit out in the street. So I feel you on that. Put all your business out there for everybody else to hear, and I'll feel you as to why you don't want to talk to them. Or the other option for me could be finding an outlet, a physical outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Sports.
Very helpful.
Boxing, anything
Running.
like that. Swimming, finding that physical outlet. You'd be surprised, to get out some of that frustration physically really goes a long way.
Agreed.